Hi, my name is Marcus. I'm from the University of Oregon and I study volcanology and marine biology. I heard about MarineSciCamp from my advisor. He had done some work around here and he heard about it through his network and recommended it highly to me, and it seemed quite of interest. I decided to apply primarily because of volcanism. The difference between the basaltic versus phonolithic composition right next to each other is unheard of to me. I had no idea they exist, so I had to come. I started with some SciComm training with Andy Ridgway. This was extremely helpful, something every scientist needs to continuously work on. It's something I in particular struggle with, so I was very excited to learn not only the scientist aspect, but also the communication to the public. Science communication is extremely important because there's no purpose to science without it. If it's only in the scientific community, no change is made in terms of conservation, in terms of general understanding of the natural environment. The public is part of that process.
Increasingly these days, science is communicating online as well.
We did some work at Implement with microplastics, some general componentry, counting particles of different types. This is something I'd actually done in a previous project, so it's interesting to see the similarities and differences between the United States project and the Spanish project. A big difference between the two, I would say, is how thorough Implement is. It's quite incredible the detail to which they study plastics. In the US, it's fairly limited. It's a new study in most of the US, and it seems like they've had a grasp on this for a lot longer out here. Seeing Pisces I was quite incredible. I'd seen some of the older Pisces in Hawaii that are sitting in the shed now, rusting. So it was nice to see one of the subs still in use. It was quite incredible climbing into Alvin in the previous cruise, to be able to climb into Pisces and see pretty much Alvin, which is one of the US's supreme submersibles. So they've done a great job, that team out there, and it's quite incredible that there is a private submarine. It was incredible that a private group did this, because it is just so much money that is invested into these submersibles. So for a private group to build it, it's an incredible feat in marine robotics. The deep ocean out here is in particular of extreme interest in the marine biology community, so having a deep sea submarine out here takes a bit of that cost away for some of us scientists to come here and already have a sub. The Volcano Symposium was also actually a reason I came to GeoTenerife. It was a group of scientists that I've read their papers over and over again for some time now, so it was a bit surreal to get to see some of these people 10 feet in front of me, but also to ask them questions that I've so long wanted to put into so many emails that I'm glad I held back until meeting in person. Eugenio especially, it was quite incredible to interact with him. I'd heard so much about him. He's kind of someone I'd looked up to for a long time. So to learn a bit more in person, you learn quite a bit more when you hear them face to face versus reading a paper. There's another aspect there that you see their emotion. You see how invested they are in these subjects. It really, it's inspiring. So we did some MATLAB training with Eugenio. I had some previous MATLAB experience, but it'd been many years, so Eugenio helped shape that up quite a bit. And we actually did some more MATLAB training on board on the Alvarino. And so he's helping me continue that process, and hopefully I can continue MATLAB for some time. So I went on the research vessel during the second leg. It was a leg where we studied El Hierro quite in depth. We did various CTD casts, all sorts of different sampling, biological, chemical, physical. It was a very interesting experience compared to what I've had on previous US vessels. A lot of similarities, but a bit more of a fun environment, so I enjoyed it quite a bit more. there's a lot of collaboration on these vessels. It's extremely necessary to have multiple disciplines. That's something that U.S. vessels actually lack, which I'd like to see improve. On this vessel there was chemists, physicists, geologists, biologists. It was incredible to see everyone working together. So all of the students, they lead their own project. We all do the science behind each project, but one student leads it. And so my project is here in Cunha da Alma. It's a beautiful place. It's a site of a potential future development that's quite worrisome to the terrestrial and marine environment. So I'm focusing on the marine environment. That's my specialty. We're focusing mostly on algae cover due to a potential implanted beach. If you look at their plans online, and so that's a huge worry to all the intertidal life here. It's an incredibly vibrant community that most of us don't get to see under the water. And I'm sure that the developers have not seen. So it'd be a shame to see that all go. But the first thing that strikes me is the clear waters. That's not something I'm used to from Oregon, so to be able to see everything is an advantage. Most of what I see is massive lava blocks that have fallen off, mixed with very phonolitic material, and so these are from different formations. And it's quite of interest, these different formations and compositions of rocks, how they might change the biological succession. And that's something that any marine scientist should be interested in, because it forms the basis of a marine community. So I would say the biggest thing is that we need to understand more about Cunha da Alma. There's not enough studies here. The implantation of foreign sands, especially if it's foreign, this could lead to burial of a lot of algae cover, a lot of organisms, and then the organisms that come from out in the pelagic, the protected area, they come in here for protection, for feeding, for cleaning. So it affects a lot more than just the local community. Something that was of extreme interest to me was learning about the indigenous community here. That was something I had heard rumors of in bits and pieces, but to actually learn from the Huanche community was surreal. It's something that's so important to learn as a scientist, to avoid parachute science. It's something that you should know, I would say, before studying the land that you're working on. And you should know who the original ancestors are. So through this I did learn quite a bit of the culture that was here. There's still some evidence, but it's quite a sad sight to see now that I learned the beautiful culture that was once here, that thrived. There's remnants, but it's gone, and I fear that a development would completely push it away. My advice for people who are interested in this program, it's a tough program. It's not quite a vacation. It definitely requires independent thought. So that's something that I had experience with, but I built upon that. If you don't have it, this is a great opportunity before graduate school or even undergrad, because that's very important to a scientist, to be able to independently create your own project. So for someone coming from another country such as the US, immerse yourself in the culture. Definitely try and learn as much as you can from all the people. Build your network. I always thought that you can never have a large enough network, not know enough people, but it's a great opportunity to build a network not only in your country. And that's something that large conferences, international conferences build, but those are a lot harder and more expensive to get to than this opportunity.